Okay, class, in the last video we did the cranial nerves. Now we want to talk on the spinal nerves. Remember the spinal nerves, there were 31 of them. 31, and they are named according to where they come out from the vertebral column. And we'll talk about the vertebral column when we do the bone. By the time you look at this, we may have already talked about it. So what we have 8 cervical, 12 thoracic, coming from the thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, and 1 coccygeal. That's 31. That's 31 of them. You can see them right here. That's 31 over here. And you can see this as these come out. Okay? All right, let's go a little further here. So each spinal nerve, look at this picture, connects to the spinal cord via 2 roots. Okay, 2 roots. The dorsal root and the ventral root. The dorsal root and the ventral root. Now let's go to this picture here because we've done this a few times. Okay, the dorsal root, everything coming into the back is sensory, and everything coming out through the front is motor. So on this picture here, now this right here, see, this is the epineurium now, because this would be around this nerve. So even though we call it a dorsal root, it really is a nerve. And it was difficult to work with that because that's a nerve and this is a nerve. But this is the actual spinal nerve when they come together. See, it would have been confusing. So that's why they decided, well, let's call this a root, that a root, since this is a nerve. But in actuality, all of these are nerves because they have fibers. But anyway, let's go back. The dorsal root is where sensory comes in. The ventral is where motor exits. Okay? The dorsal root. So each spinal nerve connects to this via 2 roots. The dorsal root and the ventral root. Each root forms a series of rootlets that attach to the spinal cord. Ventral roots arise from the anterior horn and contain motor fibers. That's the anterior horn right there. Motor. Dorsal, come in and go to this posterior horn. We've already done the spinal cord. All right. So we go further. That's that picture. The short spinal nerves branch into 3. So we go here now. When the spinal nerve comes out, see, here's the dorsal, here's the ventral. Then it comes and does that. When it comes out, then it branches into branches called, and a branch in Latin is a ramus. So what it would do is give a small dorsal ramus, a larger ventral ramus, and then a meningeal. So I'm going to come here. Now, let me show you what this basically means. Okay. When it comes out, then if I cross-section the body, I need to send some nerves to the stuff in the back, the muscles and so forth in my back. But where the spinal cord is, see, you don't have much room in the back. So that dorsal ramus is going to be small because you ain't going to much. The ventral is going to a lot of stuff. See all this here? That ventral ramus, so it has to be bigger, has to be larger, And then a tiny meningeal to go to the meninges, Okay? So when it comes out, you first come, let me do it again. You first have your dorsal root and ventral root coming together. When they come together, let's do it over here. When they come together, they give the spinal nerve. Okay, even though this and this are really nerves because they have fibers too. That's the spinal nerve. Okay, here was the dorsal root ganglion up in that swollen area of the epineurium. Then when it comes out, then they branch out into the rami. And that's what you see here on these rami. Some of the branches go to your back to take care of stuff in the back, but a lot goes to the front. Right there. So that's what you're looking at. Okay? But these are staying in this wall here because primarily we're talking about somatic nerves right now. See, autonomic is going to go up in here because up in here is where your organs are. But we ain't done the autonomic nervous system. So really I'm looking at pretty much now the somatic. Muscles back here, muscles here, body wall. Haven't done the autonomic. We'll talk about that. See right here, let me go here. This involves that autonomic. And see, I'm not ready for that. So that sympathetic trunk, this involves the autonomic. I'm not ready till we do autonomic to talk about that. So really, I'm talking about really somatic, and somatic, as you call, goes to skeletal muscle. So kind of follow with me there. All right, let's see where we are over here. So we have these plexuses. Now, I'm not going to get into the plexuses much, because these things can get, but we have plexuses. A plexus is basically like a bunch of nerves coming together to go to something. A bunch of nerves coming together. So the cervical plexus handles a lot of the neck stuff. Okay, and some of the arm, but primarily the brachial plexus, which is this here. Again, this here could be a whole anatomy course, because remember in med school and even in university, it would just be on a whole entire anatomy, no fizz. So we just don't have the time, but the brachial plexus is going to send nerves down into the arm. That's why they call that the brachial plexus. We're not going to learn all these nerves. You got median nerves, all kind of different nerves there. That's the brachial plexus. Okay. Then we go to, let me see what we got. Then we go down. Here's the cervical plexus going to various areas in the neck area here. Okay. There's the brachial. Then I'm going to go down. Then we have a plexus that would be the lumbar plexus. And see, that's going into the legs there. That's the lumbar plexus. Okay, again, this could be very detailed if we were. Here's an example of how detailed it is to get that brachial plexus. C6 nerve, C5 and C6 come together. And see, here's some nerves. The axillary, the radial nerve, the ulnar nerve. Now, the ulnar nerve goes to, if you say, well, where the radial nerve? Okay, the ulnar nerve goes to, think of your fingers, okay. It goes to the little finger, the finger next to that, and half of the middle finger. The radial nerve is going to do the thumb and the first finger and half of the third finger, just to give you an idea. Then you got the median nerve here. So I'm just showing you what the finality of. Here's that median nerve right up in here, which is going to that area there. Then it comes. So in other words, these are kind of the nerves that come and operate different muscles. All right. Then the lumbar plexus, like I said, goes down into the leg area there. Right in here. It's taking care of that leg. And then if I'm talking about the genitalia up in here, then I'm going with more of the sacral plexus there. Kind of a sacral plexus area. And it also takes some down too, though. Okay. So here's like the pudendal nerve there. Okay. And you heard of sciatica. Here's that sciatic nerve right there. So let me show you this. We kind of, like I said, I'm not going to get real detailed, but I do want to show you this called the dermatomes, just to give you an idea. All right. Let's say that you came in and you told the doctor you have pain shooting down your leg. Then what he would do is he would say, well, show me where it goes. Does it go to the knee or does it go to this? So based upon this dermatome map, you can say, even before you do the MRI and the X-ray, you can kind of get an idea if the person can tell you where it's shooting to as to which of the nerves are affected based upon how the pain is shooting. And this is what we call the dermatome map. And what it does, it gives you an idea of where it is. So the MRI, an X-ray, let's say if it has a slip disc or whatever, the X-ray can confirm everything, but you at least have a cursory idea just from the physical exam. So that kind of gives you an idea of how the spinal nerves work. You can read on it. This just kind of gives you a flavoring of that. All right. Thank you there.